Dr. Douillard, and today I want to talk about Ayurvedic eating. You know, there's an old Ayurvedic saying that says, if you eat standing up, death looks over your shoulder. Sort of a bad omen to be eating on the run. Something that they knew thousands of years ago how important it was to take time and relax and eat your food. Something that we still haven't quite figured out. Today, half the American population is obese. Studies show that this oftentimes starts as young children. And in one study that recently came out in a journal called Pediatric Obesity, which is sad to think that there's actually a journal called Pediatric Obesity because it's so epidemic and so prevalent, but they did a study and they measured kids who ate fast and kids who ate slow. And the kids who ate slow didn't have the risk of obesity, and the kids who ate fast did. Not only the kids who ate fast had higher levels of obesity, but they also were completely detached from their food. They didn't smell it, they didn't taste it, they had no sensation of feeling full. They just gobbled it down, ate on the run, go, 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 go. And this is a really bad habit that has sort of brewed over time because a lot of families are just too busy to stop and eat meals. We don't oftentimes eat meals together. We oftentimes eat meals in front of the TV while we're distracted. So there's all these reasons why this has become an epidemic. And studies also show that those childhood patterns or behaviors, they translate into adulthood. In other words, we don't all of a sudden start eating slow and relaxed. We start continuing to eat fast on the run as adults. And in one study in the journal called Nutrients, it was a 2019 study, they found that slow eaters, people who take time and relax and eat their food, they actually eat 25% less calories from snack food. So they just don't need to get the snack, because what Ayurveda said is that when you take time to eat your food and you relax and enjoy the food, you activate something in the nervous system called the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest nervous system. So when you eat in a relaxed way, you activate the nervous system that literally turns on the digestive system. When you eat on the run, gobble down your food, go, 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 the parasympathetic system is still sort of zeroed out, and the fight or flight sympathetic system, which is run up a tree, save your life from a bear chasing you, not thinking about ordering pizza while a bear is chasing you, not in any way turning on digestive function at all. In fact, literally turning off neurological digestive function when you're on the run, on the go, eating fast, go, 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 that you literally don't have the neurological switch flipped to say, I can now digest my food. So it's not rocket science to say that we should stop and eat slow. It's hard science biology 101, that we should take time, activate the parasympathetic nervous system to activate the nervous system that actually allows us to digest our food. So that's one of the main reasons why it's so important. They also found that these people who ate slow compared to people who ate fast, they had 3 hours after the meal, they had a continued feeling of fullness. And they measured the hunger hormone called ghrelin, and the people who ate slow had less of the hunger hormone, which means they weren't hungry anymore. Where people who ate fast were hungry again, and they needed it again and again and again. And that becomes a real problem, because then people start eating a meal and a snack and a meal and a snack and a meal and a snack. And when you eat a meal and a snack and a meal and a snack, your body is going to burn as fuel the meal and the snack and the meal and the snack and the meal and the snack. And the thing is, what you really want the body to do is burn fat, which is a stable source of fuel. Sugar, carbohydrates, and starches, they burn very quickly. They give you quick energy, and what goes up must come crashing down. So we eat a meal, and that, a kind of a carb or starchy meal, and that energy goes up, and then it starts to come down, and you eat another meal or a snack, the energy goes up again, then you have another meal, and energy goes up again, and another snack, energy goes up, and you keep going from meal to snack to meal to snack. You never give the body a reason to burn its fat, right? And how do you get the body to burn fat? Well, you got to give it a reason. And what's the reason? Don't eat. We know when you fast, and you don't have, or you intermittent fast, or you time restrict your eating to a certain extent, your body's going to flip into a fat burning state. And fat is stable fuel. Long-lasting, endurance, stable, non-emergency, sleep through the night, handle stress like water off a duck's back, fuel. But sugar is the exact opposite. Gets you up a tree, saves your life, so you can, live for another day. So the idea is that we should have a meal at breakfast per se, and have nothing all the way to lunch. In between breakfast and lunch, you burn fat. If you have an apple, in between breakfast and lunch, you're going to burn the apple. And if you have lunch, then you have nothing from lunch till supper, you're going to burn fat. Now, if you have some almonds in between, lunch and supper, you're going to burn the almonds, which is fine. They're healthy, but you didn't burn your fat that day. And then if you have supper, and then you have nothing all the way till supper and break the fast with breakfast, you burn fat all night long. Stabilize your mood, deeply rejuvenate you, reset your fat burners, and you have a much deeper and more restful sleep, according to the science. It's really, really important. But if you have a snack before you go to bed, then you end up burning the snack. And it makes the energy go up, and then halfway through the night, it crashes down, and around 3 in the morning, you wake up. Why? Because your blood sugar just crashed, and it woke up, and your body's sort of kind of trying to tell you, hey, I eat every 2 hours, every 3 hours, and now all of a sudden I'm trying to sleep for 8 solid hours nonstop. How is that going to work? I have a feeding schedule, but I got to eat every 2 hours. So now, if you want the body to sleep through the night, you got to help the body train to be able to burn fat. And that'll be with 3 meals a day, breakfast to lunch, lunch to supper, supper to breakfast, no snacks. Or when you get really good at that, and you get a little older, because as you get older, your demand for calories goes down, and your metabolic rate slows down. So you don't need 3 meals a day as you get older. You can usually start to experiment with getting 2. Having a breakfast and then a late lunch and then no supper is the ideal circadian medicine way to do it. In other words, that's when the biological clocks turn on digestion, is at breakfast and at lunch, and at supper they turn off. I know a lot of folks find it easier to just skip breakfast, have a lunch and a supper, and then go to bed, and that's okay, but it isn't completely in line with your circadian rhythm. So the ideal way to do it is to actually have a breakfast. And if you want to make it a little bit later, that's okay. But breakfast is really important for a lot of reasons. Helps stabilize blood sugar, kicks metabolic rate off right off the bat. If you have a little bit of high blood sugar in the morning, that breakfast will shut it right back down and gets you into metabolic normal activity for the rest of the day. And then a later lunch, and then just hydrate and then skip supper is the ideal way to do it. Then you're burning fat from 3 in the afternoon all the way till breakfast the next day, and you're not only going to lose weight, which is not really the reason why you do it, because fat is a stable source of fuel. It's a long-lasting source of fuel. It's an endurance source of fuel. It stabilizes your mood, your anxiety, your worry, and gives you deep sleep. And that's why we want to make sure that we're good fat burners. Now, all that being said, number 1, stop, eat, relax, take time, eat your meals in a slow, relaxed fashion. Make them healthy. I wrote a whole article about eating slow and some of the Ayurvedic principles. If you want to dig into this a little bit deeper, I think it's a really helpful tips to learn how to make sure that you get your meals taken slowly in a relaxed fashion to get the best bang for your buck from your meals, and you don't overeat those calories. It's those overeating calories, the food that you don't actually need, is what gets stored as fat and triglycerides, which is an independent risk factor for heart disease. So that's why we go into trouble, because we eat way too much food, which is why calorie restriction, eating less food, has been across the board the number 1 kind of recipe for optimal health, particularly preventing against cardiovascular risk. So critically important that we do that. And one of the ways to do that is eat as much as you want at a breakfast and have as much as you want at a late lunch, and then skip supper, and then and then reset fat burning. Now this happens naturally every season. We now know that the bugs in your gut in the springtime are really good at burning fat and fiber. And the bugs in your gut in the end of the summer, when all the starches and the grains and the fruits and the sugars are being harvested, we have bugs in our gut called bacteroidetes, which are really good at digesting starch. So the bugs in your gut are supposed to change from one season to the next to change the fuel supply so we don't overdo and get overused to and compliant eating the same fuel all the time. So we reset fat burning every spring. When you look outside your window and try to get food from your garden, there's nothing there. So you're digging up roots like the deer do, you're foraging, you're really in a calorie restricted time of the year in the springtime, which is when we reset fat burning, which is why all the fasting historically, traditionally, religiously was done in the spring, right? That's the time to do it. And then come summertime, it's feast time, Thanksgiving, and we really support the idea of feeding ourselves to give us reserve fuel for the winter, and also help us put on a little extra weight to insulate us for the colder winter months. This is part of our circadian rhythms, our biological clocks. We don't do that anymore. Everybody wants to be like, super duper skinny all year long, and that's just not the way it happens. And I think it's important for us to get back to understanding that our circadian rhythms, which are now Nobel Prize winning science, are critically important, because those rhythms of nature and our biological clocks have to be in sync. That is Ayurveda 101. And I've written tons of articles at LifeSpa.com about circadian medicine, and of course about eating and digestion, and so much science about why and the benefits of why we should eat slow and relax. So check out this article on my website at LifeSpa.com. Thanks for listening. See you next week. I'm Dr. John Douillard.